Well, the holders managed to qualify for this tournament, not like the World Cup a couple of years ago. Italy failed to make that tournament. After winning Euro 2020, 21, whatever it ended up being called, it took place in 21. Regardless, we know how that went as England fans. It wasn't a great day. But failed to live up to the hype after that win and didn't carry it on. Mancini ended up going to either Saudi Arabia or Qatar, one of the two. Anyway, he just went there for the bag. It's not as if he cares about the footballing infrastructure of those countries. And Spalletti has taken charge. A very new-look Italy side. This is not the same team that won the tournament 3 years ago. Defensively, it's completely different. Bar Di Lorenzo at right back. In midfield, Verratti's decline and subsequent move to Saudi Arabia has left a technical hole that Pellegrini looks to fill, I think, in the upcoming tournament. And up front, Immobile not being as much of a part of the Italy squad has meant that there's a real lack of striking quality. What I will say is they are probably the most entertaining team I've seen heading into the tournament, and I've watched a friendly game from every big team that you think would win the tournament, bar the Netherlands. And Italy are the most entertaining I've seen by far, which is weird because their game against Turkey was a 0-0 draw, but there was so much I liked and I didn't like about it, which added to the entertainment, and I'm going to go over that now. We're going to go first onto the in possession, as we always do here. And one of the reasons that this Italy team is so entertaining is because they don't have a defined shape. They don't have a defined formation in their attacking phase, whether that's in the lower build-up or the more sustained attacking parts of their game. It's so flexible, it's so fluid, the movements of players and positions, it's all just so free. It looks like players are playing with complete freedom. They'll build up generally in a sort of 4-5-1 or 2-3-2-3, I guess you can say, with the wide players pushing up. To do what? You know how much I like it? Create width in the build-up. So if I just bring the opposition team forward, and because of the width, they're creating so much space in between the opposition's press that if they can just resist it for long enough, they can find an angle into a more advanced player. So let's say if the right centre-back, which would generally be Mancini, can just push up a little bit further, he can then find that pass into the player that would probably be Pellegrini. And that's a thing that I'm going to go on to in more detail as the attack progresses on. But Italy's centre-backs, assuming they're going to start with who they started with against Turkey, which I think they will, in Bastoni and Mancini, they have two centre-backs that are very technical, very capable of bringing the ball out of their back line and overload the attacking areas. And then as they start pushing up out of these positions is when the fluidity really starts to take shape. So, as you can see, still in the 4-5-1 as they were playing before, or however you want to describe this as. And it will transition into a number of formations, but the two most common ones they find themselves in are the 2-3-4-1, which would be DiMarco, for example, pushing into the midfield position, inverting alongside Jorginho, or whoever will be playing the whole midfield role. Bastoni coming out into this position here as a wide left centre-back. The right centre-back Mancini pushing in to the centre, and Di Lorenzo coming in and squeezing as the right back to make a back three. And also the fluidity of this team even incorporates the goalkeeper. So let's just create this opening here. Vicario or Donnarumma have no issues pushing up into this area to create an overload in that back line to be able to beat an opposition's press and progress the ball forward, turning it into a 4-2-5, which just sounds weird to say. I don't think I've ever said that formation out loud like that. And the little movements and the little changes that these players will make in these build-up stages. So let's just say if Mancini was to start bringing the ball out here to try and look for angles further up the pitch, Jorginho will be very alert and he'll drop in as he sees that run coming to fill in at centre-back. And if one player makes a movement out, another player, the player whose position that player is heading towards, will drop in and fill it out. And it would be the same if Di Lorenzo did it, then you'd see Jorginho dropping back into that position here with Mancini still staying back. So they're very aware, very high with their concentration levels to just keep an eye on who's moving and who's filling in what position. And it's not just DiMarco that inverts into this position, it'll also be Di Lorenzo on occasion, as Jorginho plays this position here, allowing Bastoni to play the central centre-back, Mancini at right centre-back, and DiMarco a bit further back in that left centre-back position. And it's not just this formation, as I was saying, they will also go with the 2-4-2. So, if I just do this quickly, you'll see Cristante dropping into this position here to receive the ball. And again, the fluidity of players showing for the ball and making space and coming into positions creates that overload. And it could be to outmatch an opposition's press, to outnumber him and progress the ball further forward. This front line will turn into a 4 as well, with Pellegrini generally staying the further up of the 2-8s in this Italy side, with Retegui, I don't know how you pronounce that guy's name, but the Argentinian-Italian striker, as the two, and the wide players staying wide in this area. Again, the fluidity allows players to take up positions that you wouldn't expect. So let's say if DeMarco, who does like to drive forward with the ball, takes up this position here, then you will see Pellegrini look to drop and take up his position at left back to progress the ball. DeMarco capable of playing in that central area. He's got a great delivery from open play, and Pellegrini's got a fantastic playmaking quality and will get more time and space on the ball in this area. So just another knock to the fluidity and the rotation of positions that this Italy side offer. So a number of formations. It's so lovely to watch the way they move, and it's slow, patient build-up in these deeper areas for Italy, just to get a comfortable grip of the ball, bring the opposition's press up the pitch, and create space in behind where they could launch a quick attacking ball over the top to the left winger, whether that be Chiesa or the right winger, which I'm not quite sure who the starting winger for that is. It was Orsolini in the Turkey game, but his performance warranted him being sent home early. So there you go. So it will be long over to these guys on the top, and if they can't go direct over the top, or the wide players can't progress and beat their man one-on-one, they'll turn back, and the right centre midfielder and the right back will come in and offer the short option, or allow the right winger to drop in, pull his marker up with him, so that one of these two can attack as a result, whether that be the right back Di Lorenzo overlapping so that the right wing can play it to the right centre midfielder in Barella or Cristante, who can then play that ball into Di Lorenzo so we can get a crossing opportunity in. And if that option isn't available, then it will be playing it out to the wide areas, usually on the left-hand side, because DeMarco is the more comfortable passer of the ball, so that he can then bring the opposition's press over to this area. So let's say if the right winger comes to press, this guy will switch along. You'll get Retegui. I'm going to go with Retegui. Sorry if it's wrong. And you'll see him try and fire that ball into him, where he can lay it off to Pellegrini or to Barella Cristante, offering it short. And then they can try and hit in behind to Retegui if he's making the spin in behind, or to the wide areas with a looping ball over the top, where they can get into their crossing positions and put it into the box for Retegui or an arriving midfielder and winger to attack and put it in the back of the net. So slow build up at the back, bringing the opposition onto them, and then using that to form a base to create a direct attacking threat with the wide players and the attackers. It's simple but effective, and the fluidity of which it's pulled off in is fantastic, and a real nod to Spalletti's coaching. And also, as I was saying before, the ball carrying centre backs in Mancini and Bastoni, comfortable taking it up the pitch into these areas here to try and play that direct pass, whereas the opposition's shape will be more concerned with the midfielders and the wingers. That means that the centre-back can just drive into that space undetected, unpicked up, and be able to launch a pass from here. And in Mancini and Bastoni, two technically good centre-backs. And I know it probably sounds like how I'm speaking now, how can I have an issue with this Italy team? I'm being very complimentary of them. I have an issue with the fact that maybe they don't have a consistent goal threat, because unless Retegui is about to have an amazing tournament, then they just lack that presence in front of goal that you have the confidence it's going to win you the games. They have no reliability, really. Where I have an issue with this Italy side is their defensive shape. I'm going to go make that change now. So I'm going to get flashbacks to how I've spoken about United's defensive shape under Ten Hag this season when I'm speaking about this Italy defensive shape. And that's because it's really imbalanced. It's high press with a defensive line that drops off and stays deep, or tries to stay deep. And they leave a lot of space in the middle of the pitch. And when you see these high-pressing attacking shapes, you generally see the centre midfielders trying to clog the centre of the midfield, which, shouldn't shock anyone, and the wingers coming in to back up the press with the striker. With Italy, it's very different. The wingers will stay a bit deeper and track the fullbacks, and the midfielders will press alongside the striker. And Jorginho will end up coming into this position here if he's tracking the defensive midfield pivot that would look to get on the ball. And as a result, that space in between defence and midfield becomes huge. They don't have centre-backs that are great with their stopping ability. They're not aggressors. They're athletic, they're pacey, and they'll look to protect the space in behind. They don't have that level of aggression and aerial ability to dominate in those areas. As I said, they're technical. They're not the Chiellini and Bonucci types. They've completely gone the other way. Bastoni, I think, is a wonderful player to watch, but he is defensively a little bit lacking, in my opinion. I don't think he's at that level. And Mancini he's just good. Just good, nothing amazing, and has the odd mistake in him. And so, as a result, they can't risk these guys being isolated up the pitch and getting pulled into areas where they're not comfortable, so they will drop in, with the fullbacks tucking around as well to try and protect the space in behind and force the opposition out wide if they can beat this original press from Italy. And again, when it drops into their defensive shape, you're still looking at similar issues. The centre midfielders pressing up with the striker, so let's say This guy's on this position here. The left centre midfielder is coming around to this guy, and the right centre midfielder is coming into the player that's dropping deep to receive the ball. And as a result, it means Jorginho's got the really thankless task of just marking the player that's most dangerous from the player that's on the ball's passing vision. Let's say if he's taking it on the outside here, Jorginho will try and switch across into this player here. So let's say if he quickly rotates it into this guy here, I've lost the ball, there we go. That then opens up the passing lane into this other attacking midfielder that Jorginho's got to shift across and try and cover. He's got so much space to have to man himself and take care of. It's gonna get caught out with the way that teams overload those central areas with the 2-10s. Some teams even play with 3 attacking midfielders, and it just means he's got a lot to cover. The wingers won't join in. They'll typically look to track their fullback, and they don't do an amazing job of it has to be said. They don't have defensively amazing wingers in this situation, and so as a result, an opposition's forward line would generally look to pull this back forward narrow, which then they'd want to do anyway, to then create more space for their fullback to overlap and catch the winger off guard, where the long diagonal pass can go over into that area and exploit the space in behind. You've got to rely on Bastoni's recovery pace or Mancini's recovery pace to deal with that, and as a result you're going to give up space elsewhere. So they're giving up space in the middle of the park, giving up space out wide, and defensively I do think this Italy side is a mess, which is a shame because there's so much I like about them from an attacking point of view, but I just can't see them keeping a clean sheet. And I can't see how their games aren't going to be goal fests at point, which is weird because they've just come off the back of a 0-0 draw with Turkey, which surprised me. I just think that they've got such attacking quality with Al unlocked teams and so much openness with the way they defend, where you're asking Jorginho, who's not the most mobile, to have to cover a lot of ground. So it's going to be an interesting one to find out. As I said before in the video, Italy vs Spain is going to be one hell of a game. I cannot wait for it. That will be game of the group stage. Now I've said this, it's going to be a boring 0-0 and I'll just look like the biggest idiot on the planet. But whatever, I'll hedge my bets on that one. But cheers lads, in a bit. Tune in tomorrow, where I'm going to talk about England. Enjoy that. Cheers, lads. In a bit.